Hi everyone. We're going to plot each point in the polar coordinates and find other polar coordinates for which the plot will be the same basically. And we're going to use these three strategies here. So basically the first one we're going to do is 5 comma 2 pi over 3. So if I plot this, which we've already shown before, 2 pi over 3 is 120. So it goes there, and we're going up 5. So there's your point right there. And this angle was 2 pi over 3. Now we want the same point, but we want to write this difference. So it's going to be at the same location. So we want our r to be positive, so it's already positive. So for A, we still have 5. But we need our angle to be in between 0 and negative pi over 2. So that means going this way to get here. So what you're going to do is just subtract 2 pi. So if you take your original angle, subtract 2 pi, which is going to be 6 pi over 3. Remember that equals 2 pi. You're going to get negative 4 pi over 3. And if you plot this, you'll get the same point. It'll be at the same location on a polar grid. Okay? So that's this part. All we did was subtract 2 pi. Now for this one, we want our r to be negative. So we want negative 5. And we're already at 2 pi. So negative pi would be, we want the angle to be down here, the ray to be here. And negative 5 would mean it would have to, if this was 5, negative 5 would be right here. So basically what you're going to do is just subtract pi. So if you subtract pi, you get 2 pi over 3 minus this. So to get here, what we're doing is we're adding pi. I said minus, so we're adding pi. So that's 3 pi over 3. And that gives me 5 pi over 3. And you can go ahead and check these and see that you'll get the same location of the point. And that's basically our goal. And C, we want our r to be positive, so we're back to 5. But we want it to be another rotation around. So basically, what we're going to do is take 2 pi over 3 and add 2 pi, which is 6 pi over 3. And that gives you 8 pi over 3. In this case, all we did is go around twice to get there. Okay? So let's do a few more. And hopefully you'll just, I don't want to keep writing these 3 things down. So we want just 3 different, well, you can keep going on and on with this, but we want to have where 2 r's are positive and 1 r is negative, and then kind of do the rest of this. So let's do this one. We got to first plot it. So we have 3 pi over 4, which is like right about here. It's 3 pi over 4. And now we're going to go up 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. So there's your point. Now we want r positive. So we're going to use 4 again. We want our angle in between negative 2 pi and 0. So what we're going to do is subtract 2 pi over 3. So we have 3 pi over 4 minus 2 pi, which is 8 pi over 4. And you get negative 5 pi over 4. And that gives us our negative angle, which is what we wanted. and I'll show you in a minute. Negative 5 pi over 4 is what they're saying is in between negative pi over 2 and 0. And that's basically what that's saying. Okay, so that's your A. The B part is we want negative 4. And we're looking at this. That means we're going to add pi. Because if you're down here, then you go negative, then it'll come back up here. So we're basically adding pi. So adding that would be 4 pi over 4, which gives you negative pi over 4. So in this case, we're going to have to add, because we want our angle to be in between 0 and 2 pi, and it's not. So I'm going to add another 2 pi, which is 8 pi over 4. And that gives me 7 pi over 4. So you have to keep remembering what your domain is. Now the last one, we want our r is positive, but we want our angle to be between negative 2 pi, or positive, yeah, positive 2 pi and 4 pi. So basically, all I'm going to do to here is keep adding 2 pi. If you add 2 pi to this, you're going to get 11 pi over 4. So we get 3 pi over 4 plus 2 pi will be 8 pi over 4. That gives you 11 pi over 4, which is greater than 2 pi. So this would be 11 pi over 4. All right? Okay, so let's do one more. We have negative 2, comma, 3 pi. So when I graph this, there's your pole, there's your polar axis. 3 pi is going to be like this. 1, this is 2 pi, that's an extra pi. So I'm going to draw the ray this way. But the negative 2 means I'm going in the opposite direction. So there's your negative 2, comma, 3 pi. Now the first thing we want is for r to be positive and that our theta is in between negative pi over 2 and 0. So when r is positive, we have 2. And then we have to figure out how we're going to get to this. So basically, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take my 3 pi and subtract 2 pi, which gives you pi, and that still doesn't satisfy this. So I'm going to subtract 2 pi again, and I get negative pi. Still, negative pi is not in between negative 2 pi and 0. So I'm going to subtract pi again, and I get negative 2 pi. So it's going to be negative 2 pi. So if we go around negative 2 pi, and if I'll go ahead and draw this. Just remember what we want. So here's your pole axis. So we want it to be 2. So negative 2 pi means you go around twice. And then 2 would be here. So you go 1, 2, and we're at the same location. All right, and so for B, we want r to be negative, which it already is. But we want our angle to be in between 0 and 2 pi. So if I keep adding this is not in between 0 and 2 pi. So I'm going to subtract 2 pi, and I just get pi. And again, you can graph it. And the last one, we want r to be positive. So we have 2, but we want our angle to be between 2 pi and 4 pi. So actually, this is already in between 2 pi and 4 pi. So am I on the right one? So basically, to get the same angle, I'm just going to subtract pi and get 2 pi. And these would yield the same. Basically, these two are the same. One's just going clockwise, as one is going counterclockwise. All right? Thank you. That's all, and have a nice day. Bye-bye.